right, Deanna, it's so awesome to have you on the Everything Saxophone podcast. Just to let people know, I saw Deanna live. No, not on a recording. I saw her live with Tommy Castro in Orange County. Gosh, I guess a few weeks ago. That was the first time that I saw you live. It was a great show. It was fantastic. So glad you're here on the podcast.
Me too. The Saxophone podcast. I love it. I love it. That was at the Coach House. That the end of Tommy's tour of his new record. Yeah, and that was so cool when Julie Sax had said that she's bringing some pals and other horn players, and I was like, that's awesome. That's
That was awesome. A whole bunch of us. So a friend of mine, Julie, we call her Julie Sax. She's an incredible saxophone player. Got a whole bunch of us ladies together who play saxophone in Southern California. There must have been like 8 or 10 of us or something like that. And she said, "Hey, Deanna's playing at the Coach House. Let's go." And we went, we converged. We went down there and it was awesome. We shocked you too. You were like, you knew we were coming, but you weren't sure where we were. And you looked out, you're like, oh, and you saw us dancing and all
there
that
they
kind of thing.
are. And I thought that was so cool, really really cool. And I had that idea in my head when Julie and I were talking about it. Like all of you brought in. What if they brought all in their horns under the table? Because every now and then Tommy would do the song "The Girl Can't Take." The girl can't help it. The girl can't help it. So I didn't really know that song until like 2 gigs before. So they're just encouraging me when they're playing that on stage. I'm sorry. And I started doing that, and I would just keep on playing, and the guys, and they'd be like, "What?" Hey man, I can't. The girl can't help it. So with you guys, I was hoping that wouldn't have been something to them. So well,
Oh, we tried.
I'm not going to say what it is because we're going to do that at some point.
Ah, okay. Yeah, we tried. They wouldn't let us bring them in. They wouldn't let us bring the horns in. We were really, the guy's like, "What are you doing with that? Where are you going with my tenor?" It's like, well,
We
okay.
can't keep them in the car.
Yeah, exactly. It's not good. No, they weren't having any of that, unfortunately, but that would have been epic and
We will.
hysterical.
We will do it again, and so we won't talk about that. But next time, call me or text me,
Yes. If
or vice versa.
if you're doing an outdoor festival, I think that would be prime for that for sure.
So just to see the faces of the guys on stage.
And the audience too. They'll be like, "What?" The band just yeah, increased. But anyway, yeah. So let's let people get to know you. I saw it was a blues concert, so you play blues and stuff. But talk to us about your background. Where you grew up. I'm curious myself as to whether or not saxophone's your first instrument because you're a monster piano player too.
Oh, thank you. It's interesting, saying that you play to the music. You know what I mean? I kind of don't believe in genres. I think that our best as musicians, we should be our own genre because we're taking in what we love, what inspires us, what catches you here and there, and then has the ingredient of who you are, and that's the drop that makes it different, and then it's not like anybody else. So I never think about that. I think about music as a big ocean, and I'm just a little fish, and I'll go anywhere, anywhere. So I love playing, and I need to play, sometimes, and but it's not. But there's a story with the saxophone. I did start with piano because we had one in the house, a baby grand piano from the 1930s.
Wow. Okay. What age did you start?
I'm not trained classically, or not a whole lot of teachers because we moved around a lot. I was in a lot of the new kid in school between New York, Michigan, Detroit, Arizona. You know, so
Wow.
a guitar helps. That makes it easier. But we had the piano. I started. There's a picture of me somewhere with my little what's called the vava, which was my when I was like 18 months old, trying to play with 2 hands, like like finding
Wow.
sounds and stuff like that. So I messed around on the piano a lot. There was a lot of different kind of music in the house. That was nice. And the first thing I was able to do when I heard uh, Boogie Woogie, but I'm going past that. So I'm playing piano around, and we're moving here, 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 and then my mom had got from the Spiegel catalog. Remember that?
Oh, wow.
Exactly. This is still in New York, and she got a guitar. She wanted to play it, and she would be in the living room every night, and she would do the. Knew the chords were at the wrong place at the wrong time, and it made me crazy in my room. I was 10, and
Wow.
I'm listening 2 days and 3 days, and my brain hurt. Whoa, I was 10, and I walked down in the living room, and I took it out of her hand, and I went, um, from this valley they say you are going, and I gave it back to her and came back into the room. And I thought I was going to be in big trouble. And she came walking down, got the look, 10 years old. She gave me the guitar. So then I was playing guitar, which was a lot easier to be the new kid in school, and play and sing, guitar.
That's cool.
And when I was 11, you want to hear what happened with the saxophone?
Yeah, where were you though? Were you in New York still or?
New York, that was in the city. Then we moved upstate from just like Suffering and up there and stuff like
Oh,
that.
totally different vibe. People don't get it. Yeah, New York City schools, it's from that to like whether it's Long Island or upstate New York, it's a total different situation.
Yeah, and so was Detroit and then Arizona,
Oh God, yeah.
all that stuff. So, um, so I was 11, fifth grade. The year of being 11 was quite a year for me when I think about it. So many things that were incredible and difficult and all of that. And anyway, so I'm in class, and the band person comes in and says, "Do you?" I had just played my first on stage with guitar with the talent thing. And then I was like the new kid, so that's kind of cool because you can do that. So I wasn't the not hot girl, new girl. So the guitar helps a lot. And I did Fire and Rain. That's what I did. That was my first
Wow.
one, and when I was 11. Anyway, the guy comes in and to the class and says, "Who wants to be in the band?" I don't even know what a band is, but I'm going. And said, "Okay, you, and what do you want to play?" And I said, "The saxophone." Nobody knew why I said that. I don't know why I said that. In the family, there's no saxophone players. And I'm 11, so I said I want to play saxophone, and they say the teacher and the band guy says no, girls can't play the saxophone. And I said, "Girls can't play the saxophone?" And they said, "No, girls don't play the saxophone."
Wow.
And so I was really confused about that, you know? And what they meant to say, you're going to start with clarinet because of this, and this, and that will get you to there. I do that now in schools to make sure kids know that, or
Okay.
adults that were thwarted because of that. So, so they said, "No, you girls can't play the saxophone." So I thought about it for a couple seconds. I'm 11, and I said, "Well, if you closed your eyes, would you know if it was a boy or a girl?" And I got in such trouble for being so sassy and rude. And I really meant that. I thought that made sense to me. And so they sent me the clarinet, and I tried to play it, but it's not what I wanted to play. So I was kind of angry, mad to the clarinet for about 30 years, and then I realized I don't really have to feel that way anymore. And so then I bought one, and I love it. Sorry, clarinets. I'm so sorry. They're great. And anyway, so that was the end of that of saxophones until 24, 25 years old.
Oh my gosh. Holy cow. All right, wait, I got to unpack this a little bit though. I mean, when I grew up, I played trumpet and I was said, it was uncommon for girls to play trumpet. And I had one of my best friends play trumpet, a girl, Kristen Carney, actually. And so it was tough for us. We faced a lot of garbage from the other boys, from the teacher. And I mean, I'm glad things have changed immensely, but man, it's so sad when you hear those types of things. If they would have said to you, and I totally get it, because I was a band director in New York for a while, look, the best thing you could do is play clarinet so you get the technique down. It's easier to get a sound out, it's less heavy. And then the best saxophone players are the ones that start on clarinet. So start off on clarinet and then move to saxophone. That would have been the right thing to do. But girls don't play saxophone. Come on.
Yeah, and I came home and nobody backed me, and I'm just like, that just doesn't make sense to me. And so in my 40s and my 50s, because I work with all ages, kids, schools, people, sent them out at 70 and get a gig, a year and a half later, and in other countries up in the out of the country. I always do that with people, and because a lot of people were thwarted because of that, and then the real key of it is for me, and I love this, and I do this a lot now, is that everybody learns differently, and so I find the code of who they are, and so that can be opened up, and they can soar in any direction that they want to, or even just feel it, and that's enough sometimes, that kind of thing. So you still play trumpet?
Yes, I play both. And what you just said though, so that they feel it, that's so important, because I talk about how we feel rhythms, we don't really read them, we feel them. And just giving people that gift of enjoying music again and feeling it again, I think that's awesome. And just the fact that what you said also, everybody does learn differently. I do think that we have to build people's ears, because music is an oral thing. But yeah, people definitely have their ways of learning, and as adults we tend to be more visual learners. As kids we tend to be a little bit more oral, because that's the way we learn our language. But then things start to change. That gets beaten out of us in school, and we become more visual learners and stuff. But I thought that was so cool what you just said. You find the code for each person.
And it is, and I was up there with the Hopi High School in Navajo, up there above Flagstaff. I love it there. I have family and friends there. I loved it.
Wow.
And which is also very different, with their sound center and notes and different people and different all kinds of things. And the teacher was great. I loved him. But it was like the orchestra, where like here's everybody's is on those lines, like
Okay.
all that stuff. To me, that's a slot machine. Blah 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 blah. Huh? So I read with my ears, but I'm looking around, and there's one young man who was the most natural, just with his bass, but really quiet and really this and I'm looking at him and that, and I'm looking at the same thing, and everybody else is going, yeah, I'm going to this thing, this measure and that one, which is fine. All that stuff is great, but I felt him, because I understand that, and when you've gone through some of that. So I asked the teacher, Tom, he was great, and I said, can I do it a different way with him? I think he needs a different way. I'm not trying to block you or change things, but everybody's different. And he goes, go ahead. I went over there to him, and I had a piece of notation, and I did, here's 4 measures, here's G, C, G, D, the, and what it was. And he looked at me, and I said, yeah, and this is a 1, and this is a 4, and this is a 5. You should be able to feel and not think when you're playing. All the other stuff, we can do that forever, and we will, to elevate, so that when we start to play, and he came home, he took that, and the end of the week, he had it folded into this big of a square, asked me to sign it, and he had changed like a bloom,
Wow.
because that part of him wasn't being, attended to.
How long ago was this when you had when you interacted with that student?
That would have been about, I would go up there once or twice a year, about 3 years before, 3 or 4 years before the pandemic.
Okay, because you know why I'm asking? I'm curious if you've kept in touch with him and how he's doing now.
Yeah. Yeah. When I saw him again, then there was a year that I couldn't go up there, and I came back another year because he was a freshman or a sophomore at the time, and now he's like a senior, and he was a little guy, really cute little guy, and and uh, and when I got back up there, the teacher was telling me what been happened to him. He's changed completely, because he was let out, and it's okay to be who you are, you know. And he started learning and all this stuff. Anyway, and I go, I kind of wonder if he'll remember me because now it's like a year or two later, and it's a little kid. And I go walking out there, and there's this big, giant, handsome kid, and I said, "Oh, hi, Ethan. You probably won't remember me." And he looked at me and just picked me up and all around the room. And so yeah, we've stayed connected with a lot of the kids up there.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome to make that kind of connection for sure. And you said you alluded to the fact that you could relate to how what he was going through and stuff. So then I'm curious, going back to your past, then once you said, what, the clarinet is not what I wanted. What did you do in school? Were you like in chorus? You continue to play guitar, piano?
Well, I was in the chorus for one of my schools, but then they made me leave because I would sing a third harmony because I'm a harmony singer, just like horn section. It's the same thing. You breathe together. The way you stop together, all that kind of stuff, or the phrases, the breathing, and so the people around you will go with you if you're a stronger singer. Anyway, and I just couldn't help it. That's what I do. And anyway, so I was I said, you have to go. And years later, I said, why didn't they say my punishment was I have to learn how to write vocals and arrangements like that? It's like, why didn't they do that to me? That would have been great. I actually would learn a lot more and probably have gone in a different direction. In the meantime, you just fly on yourself.
Yeah. You know what? I guess they probably felt threatened in some way, and they had their agenda, so to speak, and they wanted each section to sing what they were supposed to sing and not harmonize on their own. And, I'm the teacher, it's supposed to be my way and that kind of thing.
And you're supposed to do this before you do that. Well, maybe I don't, maybe you do, maybe they do, maybe. But it's okay. It's okay. Music got me both in and out of trouble all the time.
We're gonna dive. We're gonna dive a little deeper into that in a second. But so, so then you didn't start playing saxophone until like 24, 25. But did you play gigs? You played gigs before that on guitar, piano, and stuff?
When I was 17, I got on a Greyhound bus from Phoenix, Arizona, went to LA, and got myself a little apartment and stuff like that. I had some friends I could play. I'm not a guitar player, but I can play a bunch of chords at the right time and sing and do harmonies. So I was already getting people saying, well, why don't you come and be in my band? Like, what is that? I have no garage time, no anything. Wow. Yeah, I could do that. I would just do that. And then a friend of mine there when I was, I guess, 19, he, who's very well known now, he had a friend in Maryland, and they had in a band called Cowboy Jazz on Rounder Records, 3 women, 3 men, and they needed another woman to do the harmonies. It's sort of like Andrew Sisters meets Bob Wills at a Grateful Dead show. What it was. It totally was. Barry Sluss, the guitar player, who's been playing with everybody up there now, with Purple Sage, Dave, all of them, all that stuff forever. Anyway, so I ended up on the road. Had a one-way ticket I bought to Baltimore from Hollywood, and thought I'd be there for about 6 months. And the first gig was in New York City, and I was playing a little bit, and I did, and someone said, "Take it," and I said, "Where?" And the whole audience cracked up, and the band. I was serious. 20 years old, 21 years old. Anyway, we were on the road for 6 years all over the place with all kinds of amazing musicians that I read of or seen of and all that. And I still always wanted to play the saxophone. So I was playing piano and harmonies. And then I had a kazoo. And then I'm 24, 25, my daughter's dad, Nick. And I realized, wait a minute, I don't need permission anymore. It took me that long to do that. And so I bought my first horn. I had an alto for about an hour, and then I switched to a tenor. I have an alto and a soprano, but the tenor was, for whatever reason, okay, it's here. And it was a Martin. It was an old Martin, and I loved it. And Cowboy Jazz said, "Yeah, come on, play some," And it's doing a lot of jamming, and so I did. It was terrible but cute, when you hear them. Anyway, and this guy came in to sit in, and he was so great. And when we went downstairs from the gig in DC, and everything he was doing, I was like 2 feet away from him, just trying. What is he doing now? What is that? Anyway, I don't know if you know about it, but it's Ron Holloway.
Oh, yeah.
And Ron Holloway just took me right under his wing, and we'd everything there is to be about saxophone, anything about what to do that has to do with it, that has nothing to do with it, to watching vampire movies and eating pizzas, and then we'd go out and he'd be playing with Dizzy Gillespie or Stan Getz or Gil Scott-Heron and I'm tagging along, and it's like Lee Allen's. We were in LA, and he says, "Yeah, come on up," and he goes, "Come on," because I would do the section with him. And now he plays with Warren Haynes, and he plays with all kinds of people. And then he pulled me into a band called Root Boy Slim, if you remember that one.
Okay.
But like Paul Reed Smith of PRS Guitars, he was the guitar player before he started that. And Scott Ambush, who's been for 30 years with Spyro Gyra, bass player. And anyway, so I'm pulled in, Marshall Keys, just, and they all just, they just kept taking me. They just kept taking me. And all of a sudden, it was 37 years later.
Wow, that's incredible. Oh my gosh. And talk about like learning by the seat of your pants.
Totally. And I think, a part of it is part of your childhood, in my situation, you had to be ready. Things could get really bad or really this, or, things were like something could be good you did this. Oh, that's okay. You do it the next day, So I think that's probably why I was always comfortable when things are, the improvisation is just to be ready. What's happening now? I got to handle that. And so I'm more comfortable doing that. And interesting, because Cowboy Jazz, when it broke up because just out of over partying, I'll leave it there. And the stories. And so the people say, well, send Deanna down and let her be the leader of the band. And I didn't even talk at that time. And it just fell in my lap. And so I started learning to be a band leader, and I would reach out to the oldest musicians that were around, that they would tell me all the stories about playing with Ella Fitzgerald or Dinah Washington, and why she was such a great band leader and this and that. So I found in kind of a Forrest Gump kind of a way, I kept. And so I don't know. But playing the horn was so natural, and I used to think, or wonder how much better I would have been, how much this, how much that, if I started. But you realize it's who you are at that time, and use what you have. And some things are a perk, and some things aren't. It's really up to us.
Yeah, for sure. And, what I really love too is that you're very resourceful. You thought to yourself that, okay, people are asking me to be a band leader. Let me seek out like the eldest musicians I could find and get these stories and get the, what I'm saying? Get the ideas and this way I can have a knowledge and whatever, experience.
Yeah, absolutely. There were times where, Sonny Rollins was another one. I met so many
Wow.
people.
Wow.
And it's good when you're a kid because it's just, wow, that's such a good story. They just want to talk to you. And uh, where were we? There was something, but we were just talking about.
Seeking out like the elder people and getting, knowledge from them.
And I remember that I'd be on the road with Cowboy Jazz or with Three Boy Slim or with oh, I can't remember. I loved them. A wonderful country band that I love those guys. And oh, why do I do that? Oh, anyway, I would be in a gig, and every now and then, a very much more elder who probably was 40 instead of 80, like we think now. But they'd walk over and say, "Who'd you come up under?" And they realized the way that here I am is in my late 20s on the road, and just the way that I took care of my horn and how I did things without even thinking, and they'd come over and say, who'd you come up under? From Holloway, from Sonny Rollins to blah blah blah. So I was doing it kind of like an old player. You didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I never heard it said, who did you come up under? That's interesting. I never heard it, it's usually like, who'd you study with or something like that. That's interesting.
It was because it's like, who'd you come under? That means it was some player, like the real player. So how'd you come up under? And you're right, I never really thought about that, but I know what they meant when they said, who'd you come up under? Well, I told them this and that, and go, oh. And then we talk about this, and I'd say, well, what was it like? Would you tell me, is there a good story about blah, blah, blah? Yeah, oh, I got all of them. And I realized that that's one of the currencies that we have is the amazing stories and adventures and the experiences.
Absolutely. Now, I want to backtrack to something that is intriguing to me, at least. You don't hear, there are saxophone players that do play country music, do play with country acts, but it's not, and this could be my own, naivete or whatever, but I haven't seen many. It's usually more guitar based and stuff, but it sounds like, yes, I understand cowboy jazz and that kind of thing, but, you mentioned some other country types of acts. So what has been your experiences with that and your approach to playing saxophone with that?
It's like, you remember Bob Wills, that kind of thing, back at the Western Swing back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, all that stuff.
Okay.
My window, in the south, I'm going home to heaven. All those kind of all that. So cowboy jazz was very much Western swing, also Grateful Dead, also the Andrews Sisters. It worked perfect for my brain. but it's different. We know this because when we're playing in a section, is whether it's a reading section, is it a on the spot jam section?
Yeah.
Turns, who's gonna, here, I got a line, and everybody pick your harm and stuff, all that kind of stuff. Or when you're a single horn player, so you're kind of another guitar but not, or any of the other things. So you approach it differently because it's all different, that kind of thing. So
Right,
there
right.
might be like bump bump, and then when there's something to go. Just hold one down, things like that. It's maybe you're a violin there, maybe you're this, you're that, different things because the sound is different,
The groove is different. Yeah.
and the sound is different of the instrument. It's like when people say, what do you like to play more, because piano or horn, keys or horn. And I said, yes, and they say, what do you Um, what do you? Well, how do you do that? And the only thing I can tell you is it's two different heads. And when I'm playing horn, I love having a piano player accompany. And when I'm playing piano, I'm, I'm a pianist, and I'm loving, making a sand or the beach or whatever for the horn players, because it's a different. Same with trumpet, same with everything. It has different sounds, different strengths, different, but it works. So I just kind of close my eyes and I hear everybody, including her or him, whoever. It's just the instruments. That way, if like, let's say if I close my eyes and the piano player isn't playing really well, now he or she is playing really well because it's me, and then I don't have to take it personally.
Too funny.
So it's. But we do this. I mean, we do. We have the split brain. You know, you're hearing this, you're hearing that, you're looking at that. You're what time is it? If you're the band leader, this or that, you have like looks like in my brain it looks like the Brady Bunch with the boxes. My left hand's here, my right hand's that's there doing it, and same with all of that, which I love. It's Deanna land, which is like to be more often than not. But it's the horn though. The horn has helped my piano playing, without a doubt, without a doubt.
How? How?
Because it's easy to have diarrhea of the fingers. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yes.
And stuff like that. And when I realized when I was starting to play the horn that it's a conversation. It's a single line. Instead of being horizontal, you're standing up like that, and so you're really singing through the horn. You really can any wind instrument, and I realized I had to take phrases because you can't breathe, and I don't want to. I haven't learned how to do where you can hold it for 5 days, but maybe I should still try. But it translated to my singing, and it translated to playing the keys, so that it's a phrase. So that kind of a thing. So playing the horn, besides the breathing, and actually it saved me with my diaphragm when I had my spleen had to be taken out, and they couldn't believe that it did not rupture because that's usually what happens.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Wow.
It's from my diaphragm has saved me in a couple of medical situations because of that, and the doctors have said, "Damn, your diaphragm and your lungs." So it's you find perks that you didn't expect you would have in any kind of part of life. What about you?
Yeah, yeah.
How hard do you play? I didn't get to see your one.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, we'll talk about equipment. So, in trumpet, I still have my Bach Stradivarius from 1984.
Yeah. From when? What year?
1984. I remember buying it. I was in high school and at a Sam Ash in Hempstead. And at the time, it was $600, which is a lot of money. Now they're like close to, God, they're probably like 3,000, maybe even close to 4,000. Crazy,
No, you're,
crazy.
you're right. Ron took me to somebody, a very strange story, but with all these horns, and my Mark Six was the biggest check I've ever written was $900. And
Oh,
what it
man.
is now is, well, I wouldn't sell it, but boy, damn.
Yeah, so I have a Mark 6 too. I actually got mine off of eBay in like the year
Yes, you can.
2000. I think at the time for the tenor, I paid like 31. No, less than 3,000. And then for the alto, I paid around 31.
What,
Um
what digitals? 5 or 6 or
no, they're six digits. Both of them are around 68, 69. They're both older than me. Yahoo! But they're awesome.
What years?
68, 69. So the tenor, I think, is a 68. The alto maybe either 68 or 69. I'm forgetting my serial numbers, but I know it's like it's not certainly not the five digits. I've played some five digits. I'm like, oh man, these are great. But I like my horns. They're very New Yorkish like me.
If it feels good, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, the intonation's good. That's the whole thing. But yeah, I mean, the Mark Sixes for sure I love. But I gotta tell you though, a couple of years ago, when I was at NAM, and that's the National Association for Music Merchants convention that happens in Anaheim. It also happens in Nashville. But I went. I've been going steadily since I moved out here to California, and I'm walking down the aisles, and someone says, "Hey, Donna, have you tried out the Trevor James saxophones?" I'm like, no, they make flutes. They said, no, they make saxophones. I'm like, all right. And then he goes, oh, and such, this person, that you jammed with the other night, is right there now. And actually, Adrian Crutchfield was actually trying out a Trevor James horn while I was trying him out. Adrian Crutch I interviewed him for the podcast. What a great player. He played with Prince. He's just an incredible player. So he was there trying him out. Brian from Jody Jazz Mouthpieces, Brian Miller. Oh my God, this guy can play. What a monster player. Holy, what a sound. So I'm sitting there and, my thing is that I was a snob for a long time. I said, if it's not a Mark Six, then it's all right. And I was like, oh my God. I've tried Ishimori horns. I think they're fantastic. They really are. But something about the Trevor James for me, it reminded me of the feel of the Mark Six. It's a heavier horn. It does have the one I have has a high F sharp key. I never use it though, because I'm so used to the Mark Six not having one. But man,
Great horns. It's nice to have a Mark Six, and I love mine. I had a Kyleworth for a while as well, and I'd like a Yanagisawa curved soprano as the best intonation, stuff like that. So it just matches up with who you are.
yeah, I think so. And the Trevor James, just the projection on that thing is incredible. It really is. It's just something about it. It's just really great. And it's definitely, it's also ergonomics too. Like I remember when I first started saxophone, I mean, I started on tenor and then I bought my own alto. I bought a Yamaha YS-23. Great horn. If you're starting, everybody I think should start on that. Ergonomics were great, I felt. And Yamaha ergonomics are much different to me than most of the other horns, at least back then with the way the octave key was and that kind of thing. But no, the ergonomics felt really good. And yeah, so that's my main horn, the Trevor James right now. It is a bit heavy, I gotta say, but if I want to really project, if I'm on a stage, I'm playing with a rock band, you better believe I'm playing that Trevor James, for sure, because you know this too. We get like drowned out constantly, from the rhythm section and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean those are the horns I'm pretty much using, and the alto I still use a Mark Six. That's it.
It's I love trying each other's horns, when we're doing that and hanging out and things like that. It really is. Mine is like an appendage. It's the third arm. It really is. And it's and I tried other ones and I love other ones, and of course different mouthpieces and different and this and that and wireless systems and stuff like that, and it feels like I try different mouthpieces and this and that and new reeds and stuff from Diodario and stuff like that, and then I feel like it's like Lucille with BB King. You still got all these other things, but yeah, come on.
I got you. Yeah, I got you. So yeah, talk about your even more with your equipment, like your mouthpiece. You said use Diodario reeds.
Yeah, I like the Jazz Select I've been using lately with them, which is really great. And I've had the Jeff Lawton mouthpiece for like what? How long have I been playing? Like so, like 30 some years, and recently I found a newer one of his, because I think his son had taken over when he passed away about a decade ago. But I still go back and forth to the old mouthpiece. It's funny.
Wow. Yeah, the Lawton mouthpieces. I tried some, I think in the early 2000s. I really liked those mouthpieces. They were nice. Just something about the sound, for me, from those mouthpieces was just really
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. Plus, we didn't have to. It was I love that.
Yeah, when I always have a hard time when the ligature is attached to the mouthpiece. It's like, especially if you're in the dark, right? And you're sitting there and
All I have to do is have my little cover in a pocket or something. But yeah, I love that I don't have to have chasing and trying to find ligatures.
yeah, yeah. But I have to say though, like so for me, I use the 10 M fan mouthpiece on the tenor.
Yeah,
Really cool. I never thought I would go back to hard rubber or ever use hard rubber, especially for the types of music that I play.
yeah.
But Mark Stepanek makes an incredible mouthpiece. It's really good, and I use Rovner ligatures. I use the Rovner Platinum Gold. I use the Van Gogh. Like I have a lot of videos out where I have this massive ligature. People like always making comments about it, but man, that thing works. But I really like the Platinum Gold ligature on the 10M fans. It's just a great mouthpiece and stuff for sure.
I'm just lazy.
No, I hear you. I don't want to keep changing either. A lot of people ask me to try out stuff. I'm like, oh, but
Try. Oh, I'll try anything.
or review it, and I should say, but it's like, oh, I just want to play my own stuff for a while.
We just have so many things with us at all times, that I'm pretty sure a ligature. I'm looking for like the amp. Where's the amp?
Yeah, no, I hear you for sure. But you know what? It's
But I
funny.
would, yeah, I would love to be there and try all their stuff and my stuff. That would be really fun.
We got to do that. Actually, we should get the Sax sisters together, right? And just hang out and then just do just like I think that'd be really cool. It'd be better than a music store.
I'm thinking of a limerick or something with all these S's.
Absolutely. But it's funny when I saw you live, I didn't realize that was a Lawton mouthpiece. I could have sworn it was like a Gardala or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, it was my Latin.
Awesome, cool. And in terms of wireless equipment, what are you using?
I had the QLD, what is it, the QDLX, Shure.
Okay.
It was great, but the the antennas was like this long, and when you're touring a lot, that's a lot of suitcase or in your case or whatever you got and stuff like that. They're great. And then I was on a gig somewhere else, and they said, "Here, we'll give you we have a Bluetooth one to try, so no cables or anything." Well, that was great, and it's not that expensive. So I decided to get one, but it has not last long. So
Oh,
I'm gonna go back to. What are you using? Because I have to
yeah.
get one now, and I'm not sure.
You know what? I like I use the applied microphone technology, AMT. So when I first started using them, it was the WI5. And actually I did a few gigs with Richie Canada from Billy Joel's band, and so he had one too. And his WI5 has lasted a long, long time. I liked it. I used it for a long time, and then like the parts of the one of the cases was falling off of it, and so I said, you know what, I kind of need another one because I'm holding things together with rubber bands, and so I've got their newer I should say, not new. It's the Quantum Mini 7. Now I don't know if they still if they this is yeah, the AMT Quantum Mini 7. And it's great because I don't need to plug into anything. I can put batteries into the transmitter, into the receiver. And it's great because I also do a lot of like funeral gigs or gigs outside where I can't plug in.
Do you have to pair, like if you're on a festival and they're, you know,
I haven't had a problem. I've got on the on that, I have like I think up to 99 channels or something like that. I've never had to change.
It's not Bluetooth.
It's wireless, so yeah, I guess you would consider that Bluetooth in a sense. I think it would have to be. See, this is where my knowledge of this stuff. It's just like plug it in and go. Great, it works. Awesome. Um, yeah, for sure, for sure.
I have to get one. I'm going out of the country for 2.5 weeks next week, and I said, hey, you guys, since it's going to be down there, can you get me a wireless, and a tenor stand, so I don't have to get all this stuff and this and that, and so I'm curious to see what they're going to have when I get down there, but I need to buy one before pretty soon to
I'm
have.
going to send you that in. I'm just going to write myself a note. I'm going to send you the info on the AMT, but also what I use for saxophone stands now is Peak music stands, and they're awesome. They're fantastic.
I like the Hercules ones.
Hercules are great. They're fantastic. They're definitely very solid. I like the Peak because they're very portable. They're very light. They're durable. And so, when I go on gigs and stuff like that, it's just it's so much lighter. I'll definitely send you this
With
information when
you,
we're done.
but I need them that heavy because I'm going back and forth from instruments.
Yeah.
There's people around, and a friend of mine who's also a horn player in Wisconsin. I had like three Hercules because you think you lost them, so you end up with three. Only one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast, one over there. And he took he built one and took another one and painted them where there was yellow turquoise with sparkles underneath that said DB.
Awesome.
And I love that.
Customized.
Sorry, Hercules. Maybe we'll start our own, what would he be?
Customized sax stands.
The Scheherazades, sax stands. What do you think? Instead of please, we got Scheherazade because she didn't get her head cut off, so
Awesome. Awesome.
Scheherazade. And but that's interesting. It's funny. I wrote a song a long time ago on a dare from a friend from a true story called "Still the Girl in the Band," and it's the one that gets me a lot of gigs when if there are bands out there and there's all guys and all this and there's not a girl in the band. So I've gotten a couple of gigs from that, and it's interesting. So my daughter has just put in still because my agency my agent is sick, and I hope he's going to be okay after many decades. And so she's doing still the girl in the band booking. So we're talking more and more about things of stories about that, about things that are helpful, things that are cool, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So
You're talking about that, I'm thinking, wow, my brain should be quiet, but it's not. But the way we're talking about it is very cool.
no, and I think that's awesome. And just the fact that just going full circle back to no, sorry, you can't play saxophones. Girls don't play saxophones, and just all the stuff that you may have encountered on the road, touring and just with different bands. But the cool thing though, it sounds like all these incredible players, these masters, didn't have a problem. Do you know what I mean? Like they embraced you, Yet the interesting thing though, right? These incredible people embraced you, but then I'm wondering, like in other situations where, they weren't masters, were just musicians and stuff like that, where we get the flack from, being a woman. Do you know what I mean?
Do you have issues with that?
Some, not lately, but, again, growing up as a woman playing trumpet, you always feel like you have to prove yourself. You know what I mean?
I never really thought about it. I know some people had felt that way in different things, and maybe because somebody's just being a schmuck that day, I don't know, or you never really know. But to me, I didn't see any of that.
That's good.
I just didn't see that. And if somebody's saying, "What are you doing on this stage?" I'm like, "Well, maybe I'm not good enough, so I would work more, and then go back up and play." And someone go, right, so that it's just about the music, or take those emotions and put them into your music.
For sure. And you also mentioned too that you're people don't know this as well. I mean, you're obviously a band leader, you're a songwriter, you're a singer-songwriter as well. Can you talk a little bit about how that started?
With which part?
Okay. I guess it was songwriting and stuff like that.
um, I don't know. It was the place for me when things were really tough and difficult parts of your childhood, where some of the worst of your childhood can become some of your strongest ingredients. And so you kind of recycle those things if you are willing to, or trying to, or decide to, whatever that is. And so I used a lot of I used that a lot. There'd be times where I'd have like a creative. You ever have one of those creative like depths of nothing? You know, it's gone. It's all gone. You know, and I would check everything else in my world, and I say, no, that column's good, 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 good. No, it's creative, and it was because I hadn't channeled something that needed to come out, and so I would write these. I would write the sad song, and it helped me. And then every now and then I'd show it to somebody, and they'd say, "You have to record that."
Awesome.
To me, to yourself, you're thinking it's just kind of sappy, but it takes me to Deanna land, and then all of a sudden, you know, the 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 scary bear now becomes a teddy bear and goes back into the door and into the room and close it. And I go, oh boy. and and um, and I loved listening to the lyrics and loved listening to the instrumentals that painted the story for you.
What do you write on? Meaning that, like, do you write on the piano? Do you think about the lyrics first? Do you think about a melody first, the chords? How does that work for you?
Sort of like being pregnant. The rules are there's no rules. You know, you might have I might have a like one line with the notes, and if I don't do anything about it for months, all of a sudden I shut down. It hasn't come out, that kind of thing. Sometimes I'm just playing hand in exercises, you know, and 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 all of a sudden you go into something. Go, oh, that's oh, you know, and I don't. A lot of them I get lost because I don't write them down. Whichever the ones that stay, I guess, are the ones I'm supposed to finish. And and um, and I love that. I love that. Sometimes it takes 30 seconds. Sometimes it takes 30 years. It depends, you know. And I don't have much. It's not a disciplining thing with that. With me, when it's there, it's there. Although sometimes I'll push myself to in the studio to finish writing it. So I'll push myself off of a creative cliff, kind of. It's not good in there sometimes.
You got to get it out. You got to get it out.
I don't. I'm really happy about my most of my songs. You know, they're my children, like my child. You know, well,
Yeah.
and so I'm glad that I have them. But it wasn't like I'm going to go do it. I'm going to do this. I can't do it that way.
Got it. Got it. I hear you. Okay, so then let me ask you this question. I'm curious about this. Do you have the opportunity to practice your saxophone every day? And if so, do you have a certain routine that you do when you're practicing? Like you mentioned the hand exercises on piano. Everybody knows about those. But like, do you have a certain routine that you do on saxophone?
Well, I'm not really uh, good with that, but what I'll do is, like, let's say you put on something on shuffle of like 1,200 of songs, right? From classical to goth to jazz to this to that, and then I would just play with whatever was coming up, and if somebody sang something that was cool, but against that chord, I'm like, wait, I want to. What is that? It doesn't matter where it's coming from. It doesn't have to come from a horn. But you hear something. Can I do that? Where can I find that? And do that. But I finally agreed that when you do some soft, long tones, even for 5 minutes, even for 22 minutes, even for 30 seconds before I walk on stage, it's better when I do that. And so it's not really how many minutes, as long as you're having your fingers on them, kind of a thing.
Okay, and you're saying soft, why soft lung tones?
Well, first of all, it's for your breathing, it's for your embouchure, it's for your diaphragm. Um, it's easy to blow really hard, but to get the emotion in it is going to come from, you know, the quiet ones, especially when you go down and you're in charge of them, then you have all of those emotions kind of with you wherever you're going. And it's a lot harder to hold a soft, low B. Is it the horn? Is it the reed? Is it something on it? Is it I just don't have it? And just go down 2 or 3 above it. Or I like intervals when I do mine.
Okay.
4s or 6s or something. Plus, because a melody comes out of it. It's like that. Can't do it. And it's like when you're on a piano. If you learned something really slow, you will be able to go at any speed you want to, and the intonation is perfect. Fingers, breathe, kind of coming out from the same way from different outlets.
Yeah, but the thing that's tying everything together though? Everything's coming from the melody or the music with you.
Yeah, yeah, and I would do I would do master classes with like approach to improv and things like that. How to fly safe in a creative world, which I did not do. So classes like that, and I worked with some of the kids that were like the magnet schools and high schools, and they're going in like choirs all over the place, and they brought me in to how to scat and why and when and how to do that, because nobody really knows where to begin. Otherwise, it's just tons of things, and you just pick one out, that kind of a thing. And so I guess it's always the same like that. You have to have something. You have to have a seed to grow or a place to put your hat on, and then you can fly to Pluto and back because you're not worried where you're going to go, whether you're playing, whether you're singing, whether you're.
That's cool. Let me ask you a question. This will be for the listeners' benefit. A lot of people feel like I have a lot of listeners that are like in that, like kind of intermediate, semi-pro kind of stage where, sometimes they get bored with their playing. They don't know what to do next. They a lot of times they'll buy like lick books, patterns books, stuff like that. Maybe do a little transcribing. But how do you get people past that to feel like that free spirit, that you were kind of alluding to, where you could solo and feel
Yeah,
safe,
yeah, when you open up the
the floodgates.
the bolt, yeah, and because it's scary.
Yeah,
It really is. It really is. And so I love doing that with people because every now and then they'll get it. There's exercises that I do that I came up with for them, and I'll say, I'm with you. I'm below you. You don't have to worry. I do it on stage and I do it off stage, and I remind them. And I'll tell you this: when I played on my first record, that's what I like. That's what I like about the West on Rounder with Cowboy Jazz, and I didn't know anything, but and I hear it now, and it's 81, 1981, and I'm playing a little piano because all I could do was boogie woogie C, F, and G. That was it. And I realized that yes, I'm playing very differently now, and I'm doing this there, and I can do this, and I can do that, but I could feel it had my same musicality in the 6 notes I had. And so I let people to please know and value yourself, that you, you have that musicality, that with your art, whatever that is, and you can grow it or not, but it still is that ingredient of who you are, and that's the best. That's the best ingredient there is. So, when you listen to 10 people play without just listening, 10 people playing one riff, do-do-do, 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 and that one is Herbie Hancock. And that's what let going of that is, that ingredient. That's what I think, anyway. And it's never too late. And you like to see people's eyes when they all of a sudden they're free for a second. And I go, how does it feel? It's up to you now. And then,
So it sounds like you're having them, and I kind of do something, the same thought process of building people's own creativity, because we do have creativity. But do you ever have your students like transcribe any solos or, because everybody plays different, likes different songs and styles and whatnot. Do you ever have your students transcribe?
oh yeah, oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I love modulations, transcribing. Usually, if somebody is playing or doing something that they like, I make them to do it for at least for your next. If you can do a next lesson or yourself, but you really should do it in whatever that you're liking. You do it in every key, every key, every key, every key, because then it is your ocean. You just doesn't mean that you don't sometimes sink, which I certainly do.
I think we all do.
But sometimes that leads you into something that's even better. You never know.
Yeah. Hey, some of the best solos came from mistakes. you know.
Exactly. Exactly. When are you playing next? I'd love to come and see you.
Oh, cool. Now, I just played this weekend at Roscoe's on Long Beach. And I don't know if we were supposed to be playing at the convention, no, the conference room in Playa Vista on June 12th, but I'm not sure if that fell through or not. So I'm waiting to find out. Something happened with that. But
Be around in the summer, July. I'll be in and out, but I'll be around.
okay, cool. No, I'll definitely let you know when I'm playing with a particular band. I do a lot of solo gigs with backing tracks and
Oh
stuff
yeah,
like that.
I heard you do that. That's
All over, yeah, all over parties, all that kind of thing, wedding receptions. I've also played funerals too. So that's also powerful. I mean that in the sense that, when you do these, it's like it really just is very humbling. That's a better word, you know?
it's beautiful. It's the whole universe and what's going on and the love and yeah, it's beautiful. What do you play? Is there certain tunes, or do you have certain tunes that are the ones that resonate for everybody?
I have people give me the songs that they want for that particular situation. Usually Amazing Grace is something that you usually do, but some people are more religious, so they'll want more of the standard religious songs, or they're into more of the contemporary Christian, so I have to, learn some of those as well. A lot of times, just that, and not even for the funerals. One time I was playing a wedding reception. This was cool. And they wanted 90s rock. So I was doing Foo Fighters. I was like, this is awesome. On saxophone.
And they know that person would love it.
Yeah. Oh my God. It was great. That was so cool. So yeah, I tend to I've gotten a lot of, one time I played outside of somebody's home. I had to learn a Russian tune. I don't know what the lyrics were. I had no idea. I was going off a YouTube video, learning it and just learning the melody and stuff like that. And they just wanted me to play the melody and, play around it, this man wanted to surprise his wife. That was pretty cool. So yeah, you never know. You never know what you get asked to play.
It's so helpful to people, and it's so interesting and an experience. Wow.
Yeah. And the thing is too, growing up on Long Island, I mean, I didn't have these, it's interesting. I didn't really have these kinds of performance opportunities. When you're in LA, it's definitely an eclectic mix of people, and so I played for many different cultures, and it's interesting. And it's interesting how, the music can be different. A lot of times it can also be the same, but it can also be different in some respects. Like that Russian song, and don't ask me the name of it because I couldn't even, but it's a beautiful melody. It was a really beautiful melody.
Yeah, that's my ancestry is in Russia.
Oh, okay, okay.
I used to sing wonderful lullaby.
Awesome. That's cool.
It's only one, but it was beautiful.
That's awesome. Well, let me ask you this because most people may not know. You are married to, but you also perform with Tommy Castro. And that's how we
We're
saw.
married, honey. He said, "All right." Because he didn't remember. I don't either. Yeah, it's not the first time.
Oh, did I make a mistake?
No, I can say hubby. Oh no, it's not. It's no. We were. Yeah, somebody. Oh, there it was. Yeah, somebody had was doing a review and stuff with Tommy, and that his wife Deanna Bogart was playing. So we didn't know we got married. It was great. What? You want in?
You're the same. It's the same thing as you and my wife. You're my wife.
Okay. Yes. You want to come here? You can prove it.
And Tommy recently won an award.
3. You got a second, honey?
Yeah.
So we have a guest appearance by Tommy Castro.
See, your podcast is the best.
Fine over here.
This is my hubby.
Hi.
I can't see it. There you go.
Wow.
Hey, I saw your show. Yeah, I saw your show at the Coach House. It was awesome. It was great.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, one day we have to get all of you guys on stage. We'll just do I think Deanna's got something in mind.
A massive jam. That would be awesome.
She didn't tell me what it was that she had in mind, but I already know. I know her well enough to know I got it.
You figured it out.
It'll still be a surprise another time.
It will be awesome.
It definitely will be. I mean, that was, so we were talking about, how we saw you at the Coach House and we were trying to pull off something, but the security wouldn't let us bring our horns in.
If any of them had texted me, I would have been right down there. No,
Ah,
Not let people bring
I know.
instruments in. That's really weird.
yeah. I was saying to Deanna beforehand that, I had my.
Gun in, no problem.
I know, right? I know. Maybe if my case looked like that. I mean, I'm just trying to walk in with my tenor case.
But no saxophones.
No saxophone.
No, because that's deadly.
Way too dangerous.
Deadly, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's going to happen sometime, though.
Oh, absolutely.
What's your name?
It'll be an
Donna,
Hey, Donna.
Tommy.
Good to see you, honey.
nice meeting you.
Go back organizing my merchandise for the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, the cool thing, you guys are so busy. You're touring all the time. You're playing all the time. And, just going to that show, the energy level was just great. It was so high. It was entertaining. It was exciting. It was really good show, And
his show. It's always a great show.
yeah, everybody loved it.
Yeah, I love doing it. So every now and then, I'm inserted. Where are you?
But then,
we've been friends for what, 20 years? We've been, as friends, and in like 2006, we ended up with the LRBR, like the Blues Cruise and stuff of that, and the Legendary Rhythm and Blues Review, and the original one on land in his tour bus. So with Ronnie Baker Brooks, Tommy and his band, Magic Dick from Jay Giles, and me, and so we did that for a couple of years, a couple of weeks a year and stuff like that, and it's been, July is 2 years for us. Now we bought a house and we live down here in the desert.
cool. No, it's
But it's so nice because we understand what a road musician is. And we've known each other of the kind of person we are after, over all these decades, So,
Yeah.
so it's like we already had a history, which has been wonderful.
No, that's really cool. And you could definitely tell, that the energy on stage, the connection on stage as well, for sure. And gosh, I can only imagine though, like, being inserted into his lineup, but also doing your own tour. You must
There could be a better word I could have used.
No, I get you. You were featured. You were featured.
Thank you. I'm calling you every time when I need a better word.
I want to buy. I need to call a friend. I need to buy a vowel. Or, but yeah.
Where's
But
my thesaurus? Where's my thesaurus? The smartest dinosaur in the world.
but gosh, you must be so busy though, like all year round.
Well, I think that I'm really, really busy because I'm going in different directions all the time, whether it's my band, playing with somebody else, doing this, going there. And Tommy's they're on the road all the time. They're going to be in Europe for like 6 weeks, 8 weeks, something like that. And while
Wow.
we're here and and I'll be in Brazil for the next couple of weeks. I come back, we're both here, then he leaves and he's gone and I'm back and
Wow.
it's but it's good. We don't know how many more years we want to keep doing this. I
Yeah.
don't I don't know. I just want everybody to come to us with tickets.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? That can definitely happen. But you know what I'm curious about? How did you do during the pandemic? How did you survive that not being able to tour?
Good question. What did you do? I
I
did that stuff, but
let me get this answer for you. A lot of teaching. So I teach a lot of online courses and stuff like that, but also with private
oh,
students and that kind of thing. And what I did, so I I live in a nice area, great block, great neighbors, and one of our neighbors, I'm actually staring like right out the front here. So she's on the corner, and this is a woman that taught public school for many years, but her health has been failing. And so I thought to myself, oh my God, this must be more awful for her. Not that she went out a lot, but just to feel trapped in your house. So I just said, you know what? I'm just going to open the door. I'm going to open the front door. I'm going to bring my equipment outside. I'm just going to play. And I'm just going to play some songs and some stuff that I like to play. And I didn't tell anybody. I just did it. And
well,
then I did it one week. I did it another week. And then people started showing up. I started getting requests. And then one of my neighbors she's awesome. Her name is Andrea. She's like the mayor of the block. She knows everybody. She's like, Donna, you want me to tell everybody? Like, when's the next time you're doing this? I'll tell everybody. And so she did. And so she told the whole block, who told some other people. And then I publicized it on Nextdoor. And so those were my porch concerts. So I did 15 weeks of porch concerts. And the cool thing, I got to play songs that I never get a chance to play, like those 80s hits that I grew up like.
for me, it's the 70 hits. Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah.
So that was something that I felt, so good about because it gave people something to look forward to. It gave me something to look forward to. And also I had to learn a lot of songs that I normally don't play.
Yeah, and if we make our living doing this, then we creatively can find another way to do it. And so when that happened, and I've been on the road since I was like 17, and I've never been in one of my houses that long. It was kind of like Little House on the Prairie, which I kind of dug. But I had to come up with something, so I came up with Deannagrams, and that's how I learned with the phones, and how to make the sound better and this and that because they were coming from all over in the country and out of the country, and people were saying, "Oh, or Deannagram, we want to send it to so and so in this country or this there or this there or this there," and I'd say, "Okay, here's some questions," so that I could do something that was personalized. Didn't know most of these people, and sometimes I'd be outside with my horn and then talking and then singing or depending on who it was in all different ways, and it was really, really creative, and it really, really paid my bills for the first 5 months, and I learned a lot, and then I started doing some Zoom lessons, with a couple people, and it was kind of it's good to know, you're still being connected in different ways. People would have a party with 40 people on Zoom, and I'd be playing. And then some friends of mine have 10 acres of the out in Mojave near Joshua Tree, and called me if I would come. They'd have like 6 cars and nothing, and 3 of us on the desert playing. And that grew into stages and 40, 50, 60 cars. And
Wow.
so we did that a lot during the pandemic too, which was gathering people, and with all these cars, it was amazing. So, and with the pandemic, as difficult as it's been and sad and this and that, it also has gifted things, and it gifted a lot of things for us and our strengths and what to learn and this and that. Uh, and with Tommy and I, that's when that happened. I called it Pandemic Island, and I'm the luckiest woman. And it's it gives as well, all kinds of stuff. And I love I think the porch gigs. I think that should never end.
Yeah, as
I'm
for
gonna come to your house if you ever want a special guest. I'll come.
oh, that would be awesome. It's funny because a former student of mine emailed me. He said, "Hey, have you done any porch concerts lately? And if you haven't, how about this idea?" I'm like, you know what? I really should do this. I stopped once they started opening things up, and it does get harder because like if you're gigging almost every weekend, it's a little harder. But you know what? It was a fun time, and it brought people together. I even had tailgaters. This is awesome.
Maybe
Tail,
one,
tailgaters.
one Sunday or Tuesday at 4 o'clock a month.
Yeah, yeah, something like that. We have a nice big tree in the front, so we were letting I also brought one of my bands here too. And so we set up underneath the tree for shade because you know how hot it gets in California in the summertime. It's crazy. And we were able to have this band play the Honey Drop. So it's like vintage R&B stuff, a lot of like Etta James types of things. And everybody loved that. That was awesome. That was a lot of fun. So yeah, in thinking about it, I think I do want to I should do that again. I think it'd be fun.
I love that. I absolutely love that. What part of California are you in?
I'm by Pasadena.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so not as hot as by you in the desert.
I love the desert. I moved here 8 years ago. I love it.
Yeah,
My dad's here. He's 90. He lives alone. He drives, and so I'm the only sibling of all my siblings who are all over the place, and who can move around as long as there's wheels and an airport, which there's many. And I love it. I love it. So Tommy moved down from Northern California down here.
okay. That's kind of a big adjustment when you think about it, because just it really gets. I love like the Palm Springs area. I think it's awesome, but it can get hot. Oh my gosh! Like we were there in November, and I was like, okay, it's 80 degrees, yet this is a hot 80 degrees.
Well, it's really not hot. 80 is like 65 or 70 other people, unless there's humidity. But when there's no humidity, 80 is like 70 or something like that.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. No, that is true. And when I first moved out here, I moved out here the end of 2014, and it was the night before Thanksgiving that I came. The night before Thanksgiving. No, the night before Thanksgiving, I came down, left New York in a sleet storm, came here, and then the next day, it's Thanksgiving, I stand out in the backyard in Arcadia, and I feel the sun on my head. I'm like, this is hot. What did I do?
That's funny because at the end of 2013 is when I moved from the East Coast back to the West Coast.
Oh, how funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I had enough. I had enough shoveling snow and hurricanes. I couldn't take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now it's earthquakes.
Well, there's going to be something like that in every state.
Yes, I know. I
That's
know.
their thing. I figured that anywhere I go in the world, any 4 days of a climate, whether it's below zero or wherever it is, for 4 days, any climate is exotic. And as soon as that fourth day, I want to go back to the land of no socks.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. Now, let me ask you something. In terms of adapting, that's right, because you do use cane reeds. So, have you ever had issues adapting to certain areas in terms of playing, in terms of your equipment and stuff like that?
You mean like altitudes and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but then I don't know. Let's see, what did I do once? Well, because sometimes it's a little bit harder. Like for us, if we're up in, let's say, Colorado, way up high, then our reed is going to be like a 10 by 4. That's what you're trying to play, instead of the ones that are coated that
yes,
you
yes.
have to, just yeah, like that. So, you got to kind of be ready for those kinds of things. And so for me, I just like if I'm down here below sea level and I suck, then it's the altitude. That's what blame it on the altitude. So I mean, you got to be, yeah, I worry about it with my horn next to the piano, and if it's really, really, really cold, and it's really this or this or that. But it's a sprinkle, of those things.
Yeah, and you're traveling so much too that like you're not there for an extended period of time or anything like that. But no, I think it's so cool. So before we go though, let me ask you though, what I know again you mentioned that you're going to be on the road very soon, but what other projects do you have this year? Any albums coming out? What's going on?
Yeah, I'm finishing a record that I've been down to New Orleans twice.
Awesome.
And actually, I started it a couple years ago, which is odd because all my records are usually done and written within 2 weeks in a studio with my guys. And I was back east, and then pandemic, so it's been kind of a patchwork thing, and but it's getting there. It's getting there, and hopefully I'll finish it in about before the end of the summer.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Now, where can people find you online?
DeannaBogart.com website. And let's see.
What about Facebook and Instagram and if you're
Oh,
on those things?
uh, yeah. Instagram, Spotify, Datify, Dozify. Um, there's so many. My daughter now is doing my social media as of like the last 2 months, which is great.
That's good.
And yeah, so and she's doing really, really good at it. And she was raised with a road musician mom, so she speaks the language, for her whole life. Like she's an old musician.
Yeah, that's perfect. Actually, it's perfect. So I'll definitely put the links in the show notes for this show so people can find you and they could check out your albums and all that kind of stuff and hopefully catch you on tour. That would be really cool to get a great show there.
It's kind of cool that we're all Googleable pretty much.
That's a new word.
Googleable. That's what you can find me. And it's interesting, when every now and then you look and you find somebody and all this kind of stuff, and I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of like I said, it's like both worlds, you know.
Yeah, listen, this has been so much fun. And it's funny because whenever I do my podcast, like I want people to feel like they're like a fly on the wall to where we're having a conversation. And I definitely feel like that. This was so much fun. I met you live once after the show at the Coach House, and I just feel like we've been friends forever. This has been awesome.
It is. This is great. Hey, next time we'll have to
Jam.
online, offline, on a porch.
That's right.
No, this has been great. You're great at this.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. And again, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Donna. This. See you soon.